We rolling.
We are. Beautiful. So hello out there. It's Jeremy Williams here from Tall Tree Recording Studios, and just done a session with Simon Gardner. Simon, welcome.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
As always.
So Simon's, it's great to have him here because he has sort of influenced my life. About 20 years ago, I was going to be
You were happy 20 years ago, and then you met me, and then you
and also I was on a path to earning more money. And so Simon...
So dragged him down.
Yes.
Sorry, I won't interrupt.
Yeah. So now I'm earning much less than I would have, like our other grammar friends.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, right there.
Anyway, so Simon went to the guitar school, and he took the guitar to a level that I hadn't seen before. And even though we had totally different styles, this sort of amazed me that you could. I just loved that we talked about being obsessive before, and so I loved the idea of drenching myself and going, so much further. And so I embarked on becoming a musician and went to the GIT, same as in Los Angeles, same as Simon. And I've been a musician for about 20 years and done different things. And but yeah, Simon and I hadn't spoken for 12 or 15 years. And then just with the studio, he's come back as a producer, and now his solo album, which is fun. So welcome to Tall Tree. It's, as I said, it's great to have you back in.
It's wonderful to be here. It's always just such a beautiful environment to work in. It's it's very fluid. I feel really relaxed when I come here, so I can just sort of get into my work space with my mind and like today tracking drums, just like it's just easy. We get straight down to work, get the job done. So it's really and it's enjoyable.
Yeah.
So
because that makes a difference, doesn't it, when you're
massive.
recording?
Yeah, it makes a massive difference. Your environment is such... I mean, let's face it, anyone can record anywhere, anything now, and get production values that far surpass, what was available in the golden era. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean, obviously, that it sounds as good as it did in, say, the golden era of 4-track recording or whatever. Yeah. Because the skill level required to make great sounds and great music is still... not an easy thing to come by, and it requires a lot of work. So, but my point is that what you've done here is you've created effectively an environment that is very, very conducive to work. And as far as I understand it as well, like today we were tracking some effectively sort of heavy metal style drumming. I've done my project here with John Fegan as well, which was like a folk rock sort of country type of vibe, bluesy. And I understand, like the other weekend, you had some students of mine in here, Threadwire, and those guys are, 4 on the floor rock and roll group. So you've got all this great variety of stuff coming out of out of one room. I think that speaks volumes of the type of atmosphere you've got, which is very inclusive. It's not, Yeah,
it's been interesting how some of these bands, whether it's punk or heavy metal or whatever, still do respond to the vibe. So in my stereotyped mind, I think, okay, if you're into really loud music, you wouldn't appreciate a koala or a bird, kind of thing. But I've heard them, like, even though I haven't been doing the session, I've heard them commenting on stuff like that.
I think
the feeling, Well,
at the heart of all artists, in my mind, I think, and of course this is a generalisation, as tortured as artists can be, I think at the heart of all artists, they love quiet places. Yeah. They love that quietness because that gives them time to think and make balance with their thoughts and feelings and create, and the whole creative process. Yeah. And I think it doesn't matter if you're a heavy metal player, a crazy heavy metal player, or you're a jazzer, or you're an older folk singer like John, you need that quiet space, and I think that's what you provide here. And you, in particular, you have a very calming influence on people, I feel. Okay, so, nice, and it's a very your personality is to me is very reflected in your whole studio. So this is very much an expression of who you are and how you see things. And again, it's very inclusive, but it's not generic. So it's not that you've got some generic space that's got nothing about it. The feeling here is that it is inclusive.
Yeah,
and
right,
I think that's why artists respond to it all across all genres.
Yeah.
So well done, mate. That's why it's always a pleasure to come here. You know, and so I'll be coming back with some more artists soon.
Yeah,
and hopefully some of my stuff at some point. So
yeah.
So
I wanted to dig into your thought processes. So I don't know where to start, but well, we could start with what you're doing at the moment. You're finishing off a solo album, right?
My 5th solo album.
Yep.
Probably a long time coming and a little overdue for me.
Yeah.
But because of the nature of sort of balancing having a small business and family, and unfortunately a lot of the times you sort of put yourself last in the chain. Because you do require that quiet space, and you do require time, which I think as the older we get, time becomes the commodity less than the finances. So time is this currency that you trade in. And it's sort of...
Because you got 4 kids, don't you?
4 kids, married, 4 kids. And my wife's just started working, which is fantastic for her because she's been looking after the kids for so long. And so we're getting a really nice balance at the moment, but we're sort of having to work our way through it because there is a lot to balance. And as you know, working for yourself is, even if you've got people around you, it's a 24/7 thing. It's your whole life, and even when you get away from it, especially like for me, my name is on the business, so
it's hard.
It's really difficult.
Sometimes
I curse it, other times I'm really, really happy about it. So it's just it ebbs and flows. I think, like you were saying before. Yeah.
So there's that potentially dysfunctional pull to obsessiveness at times.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I like I said before, I really think that if you were to look at any really, really successful and special people in society through the ages, particularly artists, they are by and large not very nice people, not because they're not kind of heart, but because they're not expressive on a normal, mundane, or for lack of a better word, mundane level. Yet they're incredibly expressive through their art. So they say with their art and their music what they couldn't say elsewhere. And there is a great quote, I can't remember who said it, but it was music expresses that which can't be expressed any other way.
Expresses the inexpressible.
Expresses the inexpressible. So
Plato.
I think, is that Plato? There you go. He wasn't, he's not very influential.
We're certainly not as much as yourself.
Well, that's right, so people often compare me to Plato, and I've been quite offended. But no, seriously speaking, it's such a beautiful quote and it's so true. It's just a real truth to me. So for me, talking about my album, this album is so important for me to get done because when you do solo records and you're not a full-time artist, you really do it as a personal investment. And you do it as of your own volition, your own finances, and I never really begrudge that just sort of is just a leveraging point, if that makes sense. Having finances and things like that to be able to do projects is a goal. So you can do your project where the real meat of the sandwich, so to speak, is what you play, the compositions, when I hear them back, did they capture what I was trying to get them to do. This record's a lot like my first record, and it's got a lot more. It's got a lot of fire on it. It's got a lot more playing, and it's got a lot more, a bit more experimentation. It's my last record was very, very cultured to a particular goal with that record.
What was that?
That was just to create short compositions, instrumental compositions that had really strong melodies. I really wanted to create something that was like a Shadows type of record, but in a rock setting, because I'm a rock player. And that was the goal with that, and to work with the producer, which I'd never ever done before, which I really, really enjoyed. And it's definitely my best sounding record to date. It's fantastic sound. But this new record, I think is really it's really special to me. When I hear tracks off it, it's a really nice reflection of where I was when I wrote those tracks. So I think for me, artistically, I listen back and I go, well, that's a successful piece, because I feel that transfer, I'm getting my point across with that. Now, obviously, you can't control what other people think of your music, and you don't want to either. They need to be fresh, open ears, and we'd all love to be omnipresent and overlords in everyone's life with our music. But the truth is that it's actually nice that we're not. And when people hear your music for the first time, like when I saw your clip and listened to you sing, so I'd never really heard you sing before and play. What I heard was very I hate using the word synergistic. It's a bit of, but it was very synergistic with how I see you and the surrounds here and everything. So it was a really good, consistent, consistent expression.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Which I loved.
Yeah.
So if you're running around in a devil suit and playing crazy country music and with busted guitars that are out of tune, I'd be like, well, that's a bit weird. I wouldn't say wouldn't necessarily dislike it, but so
it's kind of, when you say that, it reminds me of when Eric Clapton went back to blues, like after his son died.
Yeah,
he started playing blues again, and I'd only followed him a bit in the distance, but as soon as he went back to it, I just thought, yeah, that's him. That's how it felt to me anyway.
Yeah, there's a really strong identity there as an artist, but also as a person, and I think that's kind of the same thing in a way. And I think with my new record, and even the photos I've got done for the new record and the album cover and that, it's like, yep, that guy there in that photo, that music sounds like him. And I don't know if it's probably the first time out of all my records that I've gone, yeah, I can see that and I can hear it. It's almost like I've become detached from it.
Yeah.
And that's a really nice feeling, because makes me feel really confident about it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if everyone in the whole world just goes, man, this is the worst thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Or if everyone in the whole world goes, that's just unbelievable, it's beautiful, and it makes me feel special. You know what I mean? So, because either way, I'm happy. I'm happy with it, what's and all.
Yeah.
For its flaws and for its perfection as well. So that whole, swirling sort of bag of all sorts of stuff. That is, little microcosm, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, when you said this latest piece changed tempo and changed time signature, I thought, yep. Oh, and also it's full of fire. I thought, Simon's back.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I never felt like I was really gone. I was using, I think...
It certainly felt very you anyway, is what I meant.
Yeah. And that's what it feels to me. And I think that's why I feel really energised about it. Because it's, I feel like, I've almost, it sounds really cliche, but I feel like I've sort of found myself through this music. It's become a bit of a healing thing for me, and a bit of a recalibration of me as a person.
Okay.
So again, if I'm making music and it's doing that to me, then
it's good therapy.
That's I couldn't ask for anything more than that. It makes me a better person to be around at home.
Yeah.
For my wife, for my kids. Makes me a better leader at work, and to set a better example, and to be a better friend to my friends.
Yeah.
Just to be a better person all around. And so that, again, that all sounds almost like a religious thing.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
It's a very deep thing, and it's
well, it's like what I was saying.
It's
like what I was saying before. How I just felt better to practice.
Yeah,
it's like even there's not really any outcome, because I'm not really trying to get better per se. It's nice to get better, but more than getting better, it's just the meditation of, as you know, going up and down the scales and things like that.
The aesthetic of scales and practice and the discipline. I've always loved all of that. I don't know why I've loved that straight away. When I started playing guitar, I learnt my first scale. I was obsessed with that scale.
Yeah, right. What was that, blues?
G major scale.
Okay.
And my teacher said to me, Rick Purdy at the time said...
The grammar guy?
Yeah. And he said to me, well, look, I'll play these chords. And these are words that I've used myself many, many times. So it may have twisted over times. But basically, he said, I'll play these chords in the key of G, and you can play anything from that scale that you just played that you want.
Yeah.
Try it. And so I did. And straight away I just started improvising with the scale. I'm sure it was pretty awful and missing notes and that. But in my mind, all of a sudden it was like a light bulb went off. Hold on, this is so big. This is so amazing. This is so incredible. I used to play it all the time, as much as I could, all the time. I never needed to be asked to not play guitar.
Yeah.
You know, but I loved that aspect of it, the technical aspect, the aesthetic of the technique, the way my fingers looked when I played scales, and the sound, the oral aesthetic of a scale. It's just the intervallic pattern of all of the notes to create different scales. And then when I started to understand what modes were, it really is, it's almost like I can see those sounds. You know,
right.
They're beautiful. They're just so beautiful and colourful. Even though I'm hideously colourblind,
Right.
to me, I use the word colourful. I don't know what colours I'm seeing, but
you hear in 3 dimensions.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it feels like anyway.
Yeah. So one of the things that kind of I've always admired and what's appealed to me about what you do, as I said, even though it's a totally different genre, it's that you kind of had that discipline thing happening. And I made that joke about your itinerary with the band and about how any band would tell me to fuck off.
Yeah.
If I presented them, even with a rehearsal schedule, let alone an itinerary for the rehearsal.
Yeah.
But I think, that kind of, I always admired that.
Thank you.
That sort of pursuit of that.
Yeah.
Because
it is a pursuit, because it's not something that it's not something in my mind that you just do. It's actually something you learn. So you learn your discipline, just like you learn how to practice. It's like you learn how to study. I remember my dad going, just go downstairs and study. What are you doing up here? Don't watch TV. Go downstairs and stay. We're paying all this money to send you to school. And I remember one day I said, I don't know how to study. I don't know what that means. What do I do? Do I just read? And all he said was, well, if you don't know by now, you never. So the big lesson there is, this is something I really tell my students, is that, learning, but practice and discipline and programs, like I give students programs to base their week around.
Okay.
It's some sort of
like
framework.
a schedule.
Yeah, like a schedule. And it's a framework that can bend, and you've got to be flexible, as you know, because,
life happens.
Life happens. You'll have commitments. A good TV show will be on that you'll want to watch. And a good TV show that you want to watch might be something that's actually really good for your brain. Believe it or not, it might be good for all your creativity. So there are all sorts of pockets of things that are good for you to do. Flexibility is really important, but what you learn, I think, through your discipline is that, like you said earlier, when you're doing that, for that 3-minute interval, or like the old GIT technique, the 3-minute intervals, which I still prescribe to everyone, and I do myself, which is 3 minutes on, 1 minute off.
Oh, really?
Of one or two very, very small ideas.
Okay.
Yeah.
I forgot that,
Yeah.
But hey, I can't even remember if they still taught that when I was there.
Yeah.
I went through in 93.
Yeah.
But yeah,
so
not a bad idea.
You're in new school. But that was the whole Howard Roberts technique, was that adult concentration span is at maximum 3 minutes. So the idea is to do perfect practice.
Yeah.
And not to play rubbish. Don't just do things that you can do, because you'll never actually get better.
Yeah.
Or conversely to that, if you set yourself a task for a particular session, just do that. And that's where the discipline comes in. So you go, okay, well, I want to get better at my minor pentatonic scales, and I want to play them like Eric Johnson, right? So what do? I've got to find a small minor pentatonic phrase, the smallest one I can, and start working on it with a metronome figure that's here for only 2 to 3 minutes maximum. But I do that 2 to 3 minute interval perfectly for X amount of times. So what I'm doing is I'm actually practicing perfection, or trying to pursue the perfection of technique. So I'm always practicing diligence and quality. So, and that, I think other sort of streams of thinking or education call it deliberate practice. So the difference between playing and practicing is there's quite a difference between them.
Yeah.
Conversely, if you have set aside, say, on these programs or scaffolds or schedules that I give my students from time to time if they request it or if they recommend that they get one, they will always advocate 2 to 3 days a week of just setting aside a session to play something. Just play. That it actually says free play. Do what you want.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
But when you go to free play. Don't go trying to do your scales. So that's where the discipline comes in, and that's where you can find your balance. So, it's not all about scales and technique, even though we know that's like the core sort of fundamental to get a good sound happening. But it's about managing all of these things in a massive, massive subject that you'll be learning about for the rest of your life and sort of work with. And learning that discipline of being able to do that is something that takes many years to do. I mean, look at Steve Vai. I mean, that guy is quite, not that I know Steve Vai, but I used to be a massive fan of his, and I still love him very much. But he's had an amazing influence on me. I love his music, but I love reading and listening to him talk about music and practice and things like that, and his whole mentality. It's that, I just think it's a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Yeah.
It's very beautiful. That aesthetic, the aesthetic of that's attractive to me.
He strikes me as quite a disciplinarian as well.
Yeah,
did he used to practice 7 or 8 hours a day?
Beg your pardon?
Didn't he used to practice 7 or 8 hours a day?
Oh, yeah. Well, when I was at GIT, I used to sleep with the guitar. I'd have Sundays up to 16 hours of the guitar in my hands. Not all metronome practice, but playing at one of the live playing workshops, you walk to the cafeteria with the guitar around, have something to eat, get food all over your guitar, go to another class, or go back to Martinville and play and jam and drink beer and jam and then fall asleep somewhere but you'd have a guitar there. So
nice.
that's pretty amazing to do that.
So it's interesting because that 3-minute interval idea, it's kind of like, it gives you something you can achieve. Because I know a lot of students, they get overwhelmed and think, oh, I'm too busy. But 3 minutes, you think, okay, I can do 3 minutes.
Exactly. It's that 3 minutes of complete concentration. And I quite often say, particularly to very busy adults, because they're usually the worst as far as practice goes. They like to play. They don't like to practice. And invariably, I've been doing this for so long, surely I must be better by now. It can't be that hard. I see people do it all the time. I try and play my guitar every day, and it's like, well, how much are you actually practicing? What do you actually practice? Show me, tell me what you're doing. And almost 100% of the time, they're sitting around just playing stuff. Start to finish, full of holes and mistakes, and they'll repeat that over and over and over again. So
what do you think the principle running that is? That practice is hard work? I don't want to do hard work after work?
There could be some of that. Their practice is possibly hard work. That just playing guitar is a challenging thing to do. Playing any musical instrument is a very, very difficult thing to do by its own design. You don't need to make it as a teacher. The thing that I try and do is be as absolutely crystal clear and simplistic with my approach as possible. Sometimes a little bit too much, but quite literally, for me, my definition of technique is the way your finger presses down the note and your pick or finger strikes the string to create a sonorous sound, like a lovely sound on your guitar. And then from that one note, you effectively build other notes, and you start to work outwardly from there. So it's always almost like a nebulaic or a nebulous type effect. It's not linear. So we don't sort of learn one note on one string and then one note on the next string and then go, oh, look, you've mastered that string. Like a lot of methods do that. They're very linear. By the time you finish this book, you'll be a guitarist. Good work. It's not like that. It's as you know, being a musician yourself. You're always learning, and it's always there'll be one day you'll be doing something at this style over here, one day over there, one day over there, but they'll always come back to some fundamentals, and there are fundamentals that are run through everything you do with music in my mind. One of them is technique, like I said, how you actually play the guitar, the mechanical aspect of it. 2, probably your greatest asset, which is linked directly to your technique and the sound you make out of your guitar is your ears and how you hear it and decipher the sounds. And that listening is where you hear rhythm and time. And without time, it's not music. It's just sound. So you've got these three sort of very, very basic but totally interconnected principles that you can work on in a very, very fundamental way, but with all sorts of content. So there's all sorts of music that you could use to develop any one of those or all three of them at any given time. So that's massive. That is, when you think about it, you know, that is an enormous lifetime's worth of work. Well, it is for me. Maybe I'm a bit slow on the uptake. I don't know, but for me, that's like, it's a whole universe of, it's like a cosmos of music and technique and everything. I hear that and see that in guys like Eric Johnson, guys, all the great artists of all genres. I see that dedication and love and understanding that they don't understand, that it's just this massive work, that this process that you just do. And you know that. Like, it just never stops. And that's, before you were saying, I admire the way that you are inspired to learn. And for me, like I said before, sort of half tongue-in-cheek is, I've never thought I'm very good at this. And I should always just trying to keep getting better, because I just really do love it. I love the connection with, one of the reasons I've got a Les Paul, apart from the fact it sounds great, is it connects me. That guitar connects me to something that's so dear to me. With great music, with Led Zeppelin and Jimmy Page. So it's iconic to me for that, to have that connection. The reason I got a Universe is because I saw a picture of it with Steve Vai, and I went, I mean, that, having that is my link to that. And obviously it grows from there. You put your own personality and your own nuances to it. But there's, you know, there's a lot of that's still very strong in me, my connections with that. Like, so I just feel like I'm part of the line, part of the fabric.
You're
which I like.
Bit.
You know, I like sort of like that.
I've got two questions. One, unfortunately, I've got another job to go to.
Yeah, that's okay. Lucky you. I'm going to have some lunch.
I'd love to keep this going over some Bogues.
Yeah.
So maybe a part B.
Yeah.
So I've just got two questions.
Sure.
The second question is, I might get you to play some if that's all right.
Okay.
Just on my, is that guitar okay?
This guitar is beautiful, yeah.
Okay. But just before we do that, so I've got a whole load of questions I'll have to ask for next time.
Yeah.
But I noticed this is just a technical thing, so it may not interest everyone, but I noticed that you've got quite light touch, your left hand.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Very light touch. Is that's something I've kind of worked on a bit with students.
Yeah.
Deliberately. Is that something you've deliberately worked on, or do you think that's just hours and hours of practice? I saw you playing some video and just your hands were barely touching.
Yeah, I've just, for some reason, I've always just thought that's what you did. Yeah. Because it gives you the ultimate start point to play lightly, to be relaxed.
Yeah, there's less muscle tension.
Yeah, so less muscle tension, but dynamically, musically, you've got somewhere to go. Yeah. I tend to feel a bit more in control when I play lightly. Yeah. But to be truthful, I play the way I play. Like I say, I'm always trying to get better. I don't feel like much of a guitar player 99% of the time. I really don't. Yeah, it's but what dictates my playing is how it sounds. One thing I think I've become much, much better at over the years is being able to listen to the sound and become my sound. Okay. So it's sort of, I don't think about my fingers unless there's something striking going on with my hand, i.e. It gets a sharp pain. Or my fingers are really sore because I've been practicing a lot. Yeah. I don't think about my hand that way. Okay. I just think I listen to my sound, and if I play really lightly, it yields a certain sound that I find quite nice. Yeah. Just like if I dig in really hard with my pick, it creates a certain sound.
So if you play lightly with your left hand, you're saying? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it just depends on the sound that you're after. Some guitarists, classic example of what people used to call a heavy-handed guitar player, which is not a good description of him, because he's just, to me, one of the most fluid and beautiful guitar players, was Stevie Ray Vaughan. Okay. But he was such a visceral sort of guitar player. Yeah. I know that's a bit of an oxymoron because he was such a physical player. But people used to say he used to do heavy strings. He'd hit so hard, he'd break picks and strings and all that stuff. Dick Dale is another one. You know, those guys are so physical, right?
Tom Emanuel seems pretty heavy. Is that right?
He's apparently his guitar. I don't know him, and I don't know. I know who he is. I mean, the guy's an icon.
Yeah.
But I've heard that his guitar setups are very, very light.
Are they? Okay.
Very, very fast and very, very light, which helps him to get around them easier.
Yeah.
Which again, you know, that's neither here nor there. That's what works for him, and that's what
yeah.
he does. And I watched a video of him on Friend Face the other day, and it was just sublime how awesome. I think it was Day Tripper, just him playing solo Day Tripper, and it's like, man,
it's amazing.
That's why I don't feel like I have a very good guitar. So
yeah, I know.
that's why I'm going to play this for you.
Yeah. So
That's about all I got.
So we can do something. We could do something for your. Oh, whatever you want to do. It could be for your students, could be for your new album, whatever you'd like to play.
I do love bossa nova.
Okay. Thanks for giving us hopefully just part A.
Yeah, pleasure, mate. My pleasure indeed.
Yeah. So,
rarely do you get a chance to actually talk about this sort of stuff in any length.
Yeah, I
with
have
a colleague, you know.
Yeah,
so it's just not, you don't get that chance.
Yeah.
You know, so which is very nice.
Well, I have about 90 minutes in my head of much more in-depth questions.
Okay,
so, yeah.
I'm up for it, man.
So thanks very much.
My pleasure.
Looking forward to you doing some more stuff here and the new John Fegan album.
Marty Spinks and John Fegan, absolutely.
Yep.